friends. Welcome to another colour along. Today we are colouring from Tiny Tales Volume 1. Tiny Tales Volume 1 includes birds, bugs, bees, blooms, animals and snail. And we're colouring from the animal section. We're colouring this page which has a little tiger, these two mice who are weaving, spinning, and a little rabbit has got his hands up to his elbows in a bucket of paint. And because we're in Tiny Tales, you always want to play with different medium when you're there, so I'm going to bring in my Inktense, my Derwent Inktense. I'm going to play a little bit with that. I'm going to start with the tiger because I'm thinking orange tiger. How can I resist going straight there? And I was thinking for the stripes, I'd get my cadmium orange in. And activate that with a Colorless blender. This cute little tail sticking up in the air. All right, that's our cadmium orange, which is a lovely bright orange. I think maybe we'll mix that with a bit of burnt orange to build in some shadows. Just build in a little bit of shadow on our initial run. All right, here's our Colorless blender. And already he's coming to life, isn't he? Look at that cute little tiger with his bum up in the air. Now I do have a sheet of acetate and some paper under this page, just because who knows what medium we're going to start using. We might throw some alcohol markers in later on. Things tend to get a little bit out of control in these Tiny Tales books because there's just such a sense of freedom with them. No, there's no big page that you're going to wreck. You can always just play with things. All right, so I've got the orange down. Now let's look at those stripes. If I just make them black, I think that might be too much. So what I think I want is a really nice dark, like a bark rather than a black, like a dark chocolate. Let's go with a dark chocolate. All right, so this is going to be a nice dark stripe, as is this. But I think under here we're going to have his white underbelly. That's where that begins. So getting my dark chocolate here. I think the tufts of his ears need to be white. And I think the end of his tail needs to be white as well. All right, I'm bringing back in my Colorless blender, making his chocolate stripes come to life. I love this about Derwent Inktense. Just turns into like a watercolour base. I just find for little details like this, using the Colorless blender just gives you some control. And while that little pen nib's loaded with that dark, I'm just going to maybe throw a little bit of shadow work in. All right, for inside those ears, let's put in a little bit of that burnt orange. Yep, just checking. I've got the right one, burnt orange. But I think what we need is a little bit of pink. So maybe some scarlet pink. And I think we need a little pink nose. And even around the eyes there could be that pink. What do you think? All right. I have a field green here because we do have some grass and bits underneath him. He's a jungle creature. Right, we've got a flower, and I think that flower just needs to be a happy yellow. So this is sun yellow. And maybe some of that burnt orange for the centre. And once again, I got that nib now. It's all sort of dirtied up. I'm just going to add a little bit of stuff to a bit of grit to get into our white there. So it's sort of almost a greyish now that I've blended it in. Just pushing those Derwents to do what I want them to do. You know, I think we'll bring that dark chocolate back because I think his claws need to be nice and black. All right, I have green aquamarine, and I'm just going to put a little blob of that on this page here, and get a paintbrush, a little bit of water, and I just want to do a little bit of sky here. This is more the effect I was after. Just a light blue sky. But maybe I should match the other side now that it's All right, let's move on to our mice. I'm going to pull out my red oxide. And get our little spinning wheel coloured up. I'm bringing in that dark chocolate, just to add a little bit of shadow. We've got some neutral grey here. We should have some little grey mice. And I think a little bit of scarlet pink for inside their ears. Maybe their snouts could have a little bit of that going on. Certainly the tail that's showing out here. Alright, I'm bringing field green, which is the same colour we used for this green. And I'm a big believer in that if you're colouring in a page, use similar colours through that page. We'll just help tie that page together, even though we've got 3 different illustrations here, 3 different scenes. If I use similar colours through it, it's going to help make it all feel like it's one. And I think this dress would be lovely in this rich field green. I'm just going to go darker in some areas. I think she's got a matching little head thing there. I'm bringing back my cadmium orange because I'm thinking that this wool that they're doing is that cadmium orange. All right, this is our green aquamarine, which I used to the sky, washed out a little bit. I think maybe this dress could be that colour. And I think even the dark chocolate for her shawl could be fun to play with. Right, I'm just going to bring in, I've got this white linen sort of stuff, and I've got an amber here. No, this is tan. And I really, really lightly want to just add a bit of colour to this whilst still giving the impression that it's white, but I just don't want to leave it stark white, so I'm going to put in just a touch of that. And then I'm going to try my best to clean off the nib so that it's not going to transfer colour too much. Let's just bring our brush back in, and we'll give it a light brushing of this colour, which was, what was it? Green aquamarine. It's a tongue twister, guys. Green aquamarine. Can't even say it. Green aquamarine. There you go. All right, here's our little rabbit. Let's move on down. I'm going to bring back that orange that we used in the tiger, the cadmium orange, because I think this bucket of paint is filled with bright orange. High vis orange, almost. And I am going to play a little bit also with that burnt orange. All right, I've got red oxide and tan. I'm going to use that tan lightly on his belly and his tail, maybe on his little paws and the tips of his ears, around his face even. And the red oxide I'm not going too heavy here, just really lightly. In the hope that we can wash it in. Okay, let's bring in the thick nib and really flood that page. All right, neutral grey. Get our grey happening on our paint tin. While that's filled with that grey, let's just do some shadowing around the eyes there. And some scarlet pink for inside our ears. Probably also for our nose. Right, I have a fine liner here. It's waterproof, and it's important that if you're going to be using wet things, you need to waterproof it. But I'm just thinking he's sitting in a puddle. He's sitting in a puddle of that paint. Things have gotten a little bit out of control. Now I'm just going to get that aquamarine, green aquamarine back in with my brush. A little bit of water. Now you can see I've created a lovely mess on this page, but that's all right. All right, I'm just going to bring in a cool grey 042. This is a Ohuhu marker. I just want to see what happens if I add in a little bit of colour, a little bit of shading maybe with that. And I'm just going to bring in a jelly roll. I think we're going to stop there, guys. That's looking fun to me. That was Tiny Tales Volume 1. And it was from our animals section. And we played with some different medium, Derwent Inktense, a little bit of alcohol marker. And these books are so much fun for just playing with different things and throwing a paintbrush in. It's all low impact and just a whole heap of fun. So grab your Tiny Tales or grab your colour club from August, and you can colour along with everything that we're colouring in August. All right, guys. I'm going to call that a day. I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to say thanks for watching. I'm going to say see you in another video. Remember to like and subscribe. But for now, it's goodbye.